alignment, manifestation, synchronicity, dark night of the soul. What does it all mean? Is the woo sometimes a little too woo for you? Join me as I break it all down on Decoding the Woo Woo with Dana Sardano. Hi, my name is Dana Sardano, and this is Decoding the Woo Woo. Decoding the Woo Woo is a show that I created because I wanted to clarify some of the misconceptions of spirituality and break down some of the heady and esoteric concepts and really like demystify the woo because, essentially the woo is you. It starts with you. And when we recognize that we are the creators of our reality and we recognize what's hindering us and what's pushing us forward, we can then navigate it in a way to live a beautiful, fulfilling, purposeful life filled with all sorts of woo. So essentially, I've made it my mission. I made it my mission to assist others in this process, and that's what we're doing here in Decoding the Woo Woo. So this is episode 2, and if you didn't see episode 1, I do a little intro about who I am and what I'm about and my why, and we go from there. But I'll give you a little bit, the abridged version. Again, my name is Dana Sardano. I'm a retired educator. I was in education for 20 plus years. And in 2015, I picked up a paintbrush for the first time since my childhood. I joke, I say by happenstance, but, I decided to paint. It had awoken something in my soul that had lain dormant for decades. And I followed that feeling. I followed that joy and that bliss. And it has taken me on a creative and spiritual journey that is just beyond my ability to convey. But in that journey, in that experience of pursuing life as an artist, and again discovering or rediscovering myself, I learned so much. So I have taken everything that I've learned, my experiences, things that have turned me on, things that have put me off, and I've written books, and I've created podcasts, I've created businesses, I ran a gallery for a while. I've done all of these things because I pursued what brought me joy. So I'm here with you today, sharing what I've learned. So today, episode 2. The title of this episode is It's as Easy as 1, 2, 3. And what we're going to talk about, or what I'm going to talk about, are the first 3 recommendments in a book that I wrote called 10 Recommandments for Personal Empowerment. I wrote this book because, again, on this journey, I really started to understand some really powerful lessons through my trial and error experience in life, and I started working with people. I did intuitive guidance for many years at the gallery. I do intuitive guidance presently, and in this intuitive guidance, I had all of these wonderful these nugs that I would work with people, and I just decided to write them down, and it turned into a book. Oh, I'm going to tell you the story. Really, really cool story. So in 2021, I got COVID. My whole family got COVID. We dropped like flies. And those first couple days when, you think you're dying and you just can't get out of bed and you're in pain and sick and all that. I was forced essentially into stillness. I worked very hard. I was very driven for a long time before I found the peace and the balance and the serenity, but very, very driven, and nothing would slow me down. So I got COVID. Clearly it, stopped me like a truck hit me. And so when I was laying in bed after those first few days of, just being a mess, I was alone with my thoughts. And I kept getting these profound ideas that were things that I talked about all the time in my intuitive guidance sessions and even in my workshops and in conversations. But they started coming to me in very succinct, again, profound ways. So I was like, these things sound pretty smart. So I grabbed my cell phone, in my state, and I would jot them down in my cell phone. And then after I felt a little bit better, I took a look at them and I was like, let me organize them. I'll probably do a workshop on this, and talk about this. Again, utilize this information in my intuitive guidance sessions. So I drafted this thing together, and I was like, ooh, there's 10 of them. It was like an outline. And I was like, let me just write a little blurb about each of them. And the next thing I know, I'm writing a book. So I wrote this book, 10 Recommandments for Personal Empowerment. I got to tell you, I know I wrote it and it's weird saying it, but if you're ready to do the work, if you're aware that you want to make changes in your life and you have a willingness to do what it takes, because it's not always a pretty process, the journey of self-discovery, it's a good one, because I go into the trenches of my experience and what I've gleaned and I share it, and it's good stuff. So enough about the shameless book plug, but the first 3 recommendments are truly the foundation of what makes us tick and how we can have a better understanding of what makes us tick and then utilize that to shift our trajectory in the direction we want it to go. Before I get into this, though, building the suspense, I want to share something else with you. So as a part of my creativity, I created a deck of cards. They're called the Soul Traveler Cards of Empowerment with my dear friend, Anne-Marie Scorti. It's my artwork and her beautifully channeled messages. So I just wanted to open with one of the cards. This is Lupo's inspiration. This is actually a full mermaid. Like, this is in landscape, and like her tail goes out, and it's beautiful. It's very similar with all the swirlies, like in the back, like in this painting back here. But whatever, for the card's sake, it had to be cut. Anywho, I digress. The title of this card is Victim of Circumstance. When you are experiencing things you do not want, you must recognize that you are operating on the frequency of being a victim. You are relinquishing your power by accepting the idea, the belief that you are a victim of circumstance, that you are not responsible for what is happening. You and you alone are responsible for your circumstances, and your experience is dictated by your beliefs, thoughts, and ideas. The truth is universal law. If you believe you are a victim, it will be so. Understand what you draw into your life, what you create when you accept powerlessness. You are always in control if you allow yourself to be so. This is really such an important message and pertinent to what I want to talk about today. Just to give you a quick overview, today we're going to talk about the first 3 recommendments that are about really understanding what makes us tick and shifting that belief. My next episode, episode 3, is your personal GPS. All the tools we have within us to help assist us in this navigating our experience. The episode that follows that, the episode 4, we're going to talk about your rainbow colored roadmap and really, really break down chakras and the practicality of them and understanding how to find our imbalances and based on our development. And the 5th and 6th episodes, and I'm going to stop there, I promise, we're going to talk about the aspects of you in your foundational aspects and your magical aspects and how to bring those into balance. So we're building from the most basic up through the aspects, and then the purpose is to see how understanding all of this helps us understand all of that, or at least what we perceive to be all of that, because it's really all it's all within us. So with that said, the first 3 recommendments. I want to read the first recommendment to you based on the card that I just read. The first recommendment: I shall not claim victimhood. Rather, I shall recognize that the power to create my experience is always within me. There are no victims, just opportunities to learn and grow, and I choose to learn from each opportunity. So the other 2 recommendments, they all kind of, work together. But before anything, before we do any work, before we understand any woo, we have to understand that there are no victims. It is all just information. And I know I'm a broken record, and I say this all the time. If you've ever watched a video of mine or had a conversation with me or done a workshop with me or anything like that, I'm constantly touting it's all just information. That's all it is. Everything around us is telling us something, and then we have the ability to decode that information to see whether it serves us or whether it doesn't serve us. Now, through our conditioning, whether it be implicit or explicit, through our own traumas, our own experiences, our own beliefs about things, we tend to put judgment on things. It's good or it's bad. It's right or it's wrong. It's black or it's white. But essentially, it serves us or it doesn't serve us. It's just information. Let me give you a hypothetical. So let's just say my husband, he is not meeting my needs. He comes home late. He doesn't tell me when he's coming home late. When I try to tell him how I feel, it makes me feel like a nag. He's very secretive about his phone. I've heard rumors that he's doing things he shouldn't be doing, drinking, smoking, gambling, sleeping around, whatever it is. And I feel horrible in the relationship. I feel victimized. I feel like he's mistreating me. But the reality is, what is the information? The information is my husband is involved in activities that are not in alignment with my values. He's involved in activities that keep him or distract him from meeting my needs in the way that I need. My husband is not in alignment with me. What is the information telling me? Well, I'm staying in this relationship. I'm expressing my needs and they're not getting met, and I'm not following through on what's best for me. What's the information telling me? Well, if I believed I was worthy of having my needs met, if I believed that I hate to say this, it sounds sad, but if I believed I deserved better, I would be acting on this information. There's a variety of ways I can act. I can up and leave. I can file for divorce. I can really try to have a sit down with him. I could try to do all the things that are in alignment with my integrity to get my needs met. Or I could become entrenched in the emotional aspect of it, believe I'm a victim, and complain and fight with him and get nowhere and not create essentially the path and the experience that I desire. I am totally watering it down to probably the most the most general or simplest of terms, because I know these relationships are very complicated. We all have our own situations and circumstances, and we all have our reasons of why we stay in situations that no longer serve us. But at the end of the day, it comes back to what we believe about ourselves. And if you really water it down, it's to a place of powerlessness or lack of worthiness, or something of the like. So if you in general, you specifically, feel like you're in a circumstance that you're feeling victimized to some degree, take a second and ask yourself, what do I believe about myself and about the situation? And just keep asking yourself the questions to get a sense. And eventually, and we'll talk about this more in the future episodes, you'll figure out where that came from. I want to read to you the second recommendment. I shall not become entrenched in my emotions. Rather, I shall trust my emotional guidance system and rely on this information to inform me of what I don't want in order to direct me what I do want. So, our emotions are a beautiful guide for us. They tell us if something is serving us or if it's not serving us. Is it good for me? Is it not good for me? Ooh, that's fun. Then it's good for me. Ooh, that gives me the ick. Then it's not good for me. It's just a variation of that. If my husband, again, same scenario, just for the record, that's not my schmoopy. My schmoopy is a completely different person. This is a whole made-up husband. This is actually my first husband, if I'm being honest. Anyway, I digress. So if I if he comes home and we're having dinner together and I'm trying to make conversation with him and he, is shutting me down. He doesn't want to hear what I have to say. He's ignoring me. He's distracted by his phone or whatever it is. That makes me feel unhappy. It makes me feel taken advantage of or taken for granted. It makes me feel not valued. It makes me feel all those ways. None of those things feel good. So whatever this situation is not serving me, because what serves me are things that inspire me, uplift me, feed my creativity, make me feel empowered, make me feel joy, love, right? And this situation does not make me feel those things. So rather than become entrenched in my emotion, because what am I going to do? I'm going to feel sad. I'm going to feel lonely. I might fight with him. I'm going to talk about him behind his back, and that's going to be my existence. I have to take this information and ask myself, what is it telling me? Well, it's telling me that I'm not appreciated. Well, do I feel that way in other aspects of my life? And then you start asking yourself the questions. Remember, our emotions are here to guide us. And because some of them are so intense and so powerful, listen, some of us have dealt with atrocities. I'm not lessening the idea of the grief and the pain that we all go through. But at the end of the day, when we recognize that these emotions are just alerting us to what the experience is and how to take action from there, we need to process the emotion. I'm saying dismiss it, process the emotion and go from there. When we become entrenched, that's when we become stuck. Make sense? Okay, third recommendment. I shall not apply irrational belief systems and toxic behavioral patterns that no longer serve me to my life experiences. Rather, I shall recognize that these beliefs were acquired during a time of crisis, and the patterns were developed as a result to make me feel safe. I understand that not only did I develop these patterns as self-protection, but also that this is what people do. We all protect ourselves. We all are protecting something. We all are doing this to feel safe. And when we recognize this and these patterns, we are one step closer to healing them. I also understand that I am now safe and don't need coping mechanisms that no longer serve me. I recognize that everything I do is based on beliefs, patterns, and paradigms that I developed during my formative years. And if I find patterns in my behavior that aren't serving me, I trace them to the source of that pattern, and I can then put them to rest for good. This is very, very important. So, when we are children, when we are in our formative years, we have experiences that give us opportunities. This is through our whole life, but we're talking about our early formative years, 0 to 7, 7 to 14. We're going to talk more about these stages when we talk about the practicality of chakras. But during these formative years, we have experiences that allow us to process our emotions. And when we don't process them properly or aren't taught how to have resolution, we learn coping mechanisms to help us cope, but coping mechanisms to help us cope. And then we carry those coping mechanisms on throughout our lives to our formative years, and we create patterns on top of them. Just to give you an example, 0 to 7, let's just say I'm 6 years old and I don't have the proper expectations aren't set in my home. There are no consequences for my behavior, good or bad. So I really have no regulation on how to behave. There is no consistency. So again, back to expectations, I don't know what to expect. So during this time when I don't have these proper expectations, proper boundaries, proper structure, I am going to feel unsafe. I'm going to feel insecure. Now, it could come in a variety of ways. It could come to my mother always showing up late to pick me up from school. It could come in the fact that, my brother is behaving in a certain way. Let's just say he's hitting me and my parents are allowing him and I'm taught, oh, this behavior is okay. Whatever it is, I am going to feel unsafe, insecure. I'm going to lack grounding. So maybe I'll have behavioral issues in school. Maybe I become insecure, so I become clingy in my relationships. Maybe because I feel unsafe, I develop irrational fears through my life. And then when anything that is fear laden that comes in my sphere of influence, I grab onto it and I develop a new fear. And as we develop and as we grow older, these patterns continue. They just mature with us, and they just look differently depending on our developmental stage. This happens all the time. We create these patterns all the time. So, and remember, it comes from us. You're the woo, right? It comes from us. So when you are 25 years old and you are in a relationship that you are clingy and he's resisting and you're having this problem, and you realize, oh my God, all of my relationships look like this. The man shows interest. I respond. He pulls back a little. I chase because I'm insecure. And then the whole relationship is this cat and mouse game until obviously it eventually ends. And I'm like, oh my God, this has been a pattern of behavior. Where does it come from? And I could trace it back to when I was like 6. These patterns that we develop in our lives start somewhere. And if we could go back and find the source of that, oh my God, we could reshift our belief around it, reshift our pattern, and reshift our trajectory. So just as a recap, let's talk about this for a second. Let's think about this. I shall not claim victimhood. If we can understand that we are not powerless, that there's a rhyme and a reason for everything that's going on in our lives, we just have to be the detectives, break out our decoder rings and figure out what that is, then that changes everything, because now life isn't happening to us anymore. Now life is happening. It's all information, right? Life is happening, and it's for us to figure out the what's, the whys, and the hows, and to restructure it, because we are not powerless. We are empowered to do so. So I shall not claim victimhood. I shall not become entrenched in my emotions. I'm going to recognize that my emotions are here to assist me. They're here to show me the way. Again, something feels good. Do more of that. I picked up a paintbrush and was like, oh, I have to do this all the time. I wasn't like, I have to do this. I'm going to buy a gallery. I have to do this. I'm going to author books. I have to do this. I'm going to paint 800 billion paintings. I have to do this because it feels good. That is my soul's way of telling me you are on the right path. And that's how we discover our soul's purpose. But when these emotions come at us, and they come at us hard and fast sometimes, they come at us and they're uncomfortable, boom, we fall right into that. And if we believe that we're victims, if we don't believe that we have some sort of say or control over the situation, that some sort of behavior that we had done brought us here, there's always a momentum that brought us here. I wasn't with the ungrateful husband, the husband that didn't value me, the husband that mistreated me, the husband that was abusive and even neglectful. That he didn't hatch from an egg. I wasn't with him and just because. I was with him because I have beliefs about myself and patterns about myself and a momentum of that brought me to that situation. I always joke, with my friends, I'm like, your first husband, like he didn't do this to you. Like all the stories about my first husband did this, but we all have a first husband, or many of us do. My first husband did that, first husband did the other. But the thing is, he didn't do these things to you. You aligned with him because of the patterns that you carried to that point. Make sense? Okay, so to recap, I shall not claim victimhood. Nobody did anything to you. There was a momentum from your beliefs and patterns that got you there. I shall not become entrenched in my emotions. I'm going to recognize that these emotions are here to help me. And even when they're hard and they're scary and they're fear-laden and yucky, okay, that's a serious alert. That's like a code red. And I need to, again, process those emotions and then look at them and figure out what action should I take. Do I stay or do I go? Fight or flight, And that's with anything. Like, what am I going to do in this situation? This doesn't feel good. What do I do? Can I alter it? Can I do something to adjust the situation? Where am I responsible? What's my accountability in this? What do I believe about myself, about the situation, about the world around me? Broken record hour with Dana Sardano, but really, here is your foundation. Third recommendment, I shall not apply irrational belief systems and toxic behavioral patterns to my life experience. Our irrational beliefs, they're just not based in logic and evidence. What do I believe about myself? Oh my God, I had 1 billion irrational beliefs from my formative years that I didn't even know I had until I was willing to look at them. I'm not worthy. My needs do not matter. When I try to express my needs, I'm treated as if, I'm a beast or a monster or a one-way street. Those are actually legit things that were told to me when I asked to get my needs met. So I had all these beliefs about myself. I didn't even realize I had, and I structured my patterns around them. If I believe my needs do not matter, you know what? I'm going to read something to you really quickly. I wrote this when talking about a childhood belief that I had that my needs do not matter. And I'm just going to read you. I wrote 10 continued patterns that I had based on one belief. That's one belief. Okay. I'm just going to read a few of them just for time's sake. So, childhood belief. My needs do not matter. Continued pattern of always putting other people's needs first. Continued pattern of always getting the short end of the stick. Continued pattern of feeling like my kindness is taken for granted. I'm not going to continue because I had read this in another episode. But these continued patterns that we have for one need, or for one belief, excuse me. Make sense? So here's your homework. Remember, you're talking to a teacher here. Here's your homework. When something is uncomfortable in your life, you get an ick, you have a situation, a trigger, if you will. Just take that for a second and ask yourself, what is my belief around this? You would be surprised. What is my belief around this? Oh, I don't feel valued. And then take that. It's like you're pulling a string in a sweater. You're going to unravel it. And you're really going to get to the bottom of the things. My future episodes, we're going to talk about the what's in the house, like how to do this in more depth. But right now, just take that. Really start to examine your beliefs. And when you do so, you will be amazed at what you uncover. You will be amazed at the power that you take back. And you will be amazed at the trajectory of your life and where it goes. Give it a go. Give it a go. So anyway, this has been fun. I look forward to our future episodes. And thank you. Thank you for indulging me. Thank you for watching. And I look forward to next time. Ubuntu.